Good morning to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Satish Suresh Tanvade and Dr. Manoj Kumar Gupta and all the participants. Welcome to the fourth day of this 5-day FDP program on outcome-based education and accreditation. First, I am going to introduce our speakers of today's first session, Dr. Satish Suresh Tanvade. Dr. Satish has completed his PhD degree in 2006 from Vishweshwarya National Institute of Technology, Nagpur. Since 2015, Dr. Satish is working as professor and program leader of Electrical Power Engineering program at Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at National University of Science and Technology, Oman. Dr. Tanvade has around 25 years of experience, including work as principal at FabTech Technical Campus, College of Engineering and Research, Sangola, affiliated to Solapur University, Maharashtra. Dr. Tanvade has published research papers nearby 40 national and international reputed journals. He has also developed for multi-rate DSP algorithm on fast speed FPGA, for which he gets sponsored by All India Council of Technical Education, and the amount of the grant was around 6 lakhs. Dr. Tanvade also bear many administrative responsibility. He was the member of Board of Studies in Electrical Engineering at Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Technological University, Lonare. He was in charge and head of the department electrical engineering at Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Technological University, Lonare. Professor and head of the department, Electrical Engineering Department at Anna Sahib Dange College of Engineering, Ashta, Maharashtra. And this is my pleasure to invite you, sir, as a speaker. Today's topic of Dr. Tanvade is very important for teaching professionals, that is file preparation and document management. Please, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for that generous introduction. Before I begin my session, I would just like to congratulate the Director of IILM College of Engineering and Technology, Dr. Jyotsna Singh, for arranging this, for supporting and arranging this outcome-based education and accreditation faculty development workshop. This has become a keyword or a buzzword in this era now, outcome-based education and project-based learning and accreditation. So these are the buzzwords in the professional education now. So you have encouraged your team to take up this aptly. And I came to know that there is a tremendous response from the participants as well. And maybe COVID situation has helped to increase the participation, but so everything happens for a good purpose, and that's how we should take it. So I really once again congratulate Dr. Jyotsna Singh for arranging this. I would like to now share my screen and continue my presentation. So let me share my screen first. Yeah, so today's topic of my lecture or presentation is basically on the documentation process required for the accreditation. Now, before I begin my presentation, I would like to tell you a very funny and humorous short story which highlights the importance of the documentation. It happened once that a lawyer was traveling from, it's a story in Great Britain. So there was a lawyer and he was traveling from Liverpool to Manchester, in a train. And of course, he was a rich lawyer and he was traveling in a business class. And he was alone in the compartment. It so happened that when his journey began, the next station, one beautiful lady entered into his compartment and sat just opposite to his seat. Men are men.
Satish sir, you are on mute mode, I think. Please switch on your mic.
Oh, so shall I start it once again?
Yes, sir. You
Yeah,
can.
yeah. So thanks so much for the generous introduction. Uh, Before I begin the presentation, let me share the screen. Yeah. So before I begin the presentation, let me congratulate Dr. Josna Singh, the Director, IILM College of Engineering and Technology, for encouraging the team to take up a topic of great relevance in the current era for the professional education, and which is nothing but outcome-based education and accreditation. These two words, outcome-based education and accreditation, have become the buzzwords of the today's professional education institutions. And very aptly, madam, your team has taken up uh, these two buzzwords. They have connected it well together, and they have transformed it into a faculty development workshop. With all your encouragement, this is possible. So I really want to once again congratulate Dr. Josna Singh for her initiatives and encouragement for arranging such a most relevant faculty development workshop. Before I begin my presentation on my today's topic, which is documentation for the accreditation, I would like to share a beautiful story with all of you, which highlights the importance of the documentation. The story goes in Great Britain. There was a famous, there was a rather very rich lawyer, and he was traveling from Liverpool to Manchester for his own work. Of course, he was very rich, and so he preferred business class. When he entered into his compartment, he found that he was alone in the compartment. The journey began. In the subsequent station of the train, a beautiful lady entered into his compartment, and she sat just opposite to him. Now there were only two people, this rich lawyer and the beautiful lady. The lawyer was very happy too because he got a beautiful companion for his journey. It so happened that in a short while, that lady started exchanging smiles with this lawyer. The lawyer was now very, very happy from within. Of course, men will be men. After a while, surprisingly, that lady came and sat next to the lawyer. Now, the happiness of the lawyer had no bounds. In a moment from now, they had not exchanged a single word until this point of time. But in a short while, the lady whispered in the ears of this lawyer. She said, "Please hand over all your valuables, your money, your mobile, your purse, and all your valuables, ring and the chain, immediately to me. Otherwise, I will shout and gather the crowd, saying that you were harassing me." So she literally threatened this lawyer. Now, a common person like you and me would have fumbled in this situation. but he was a lawyer. He knew the importance of the documentation. He calmly looked at her, took out a paper, and started writing something on it. What did he write on the paper? He wrote that, "Madam, I cannot hear, I cannot hear and I cannot speak. So I did not understand what you said. Can you please write what you said on this paper so that I can understand?" That was a catch. But the lady believed that lawyer because he was looking decent and traveling in a business class. So the lady took a pen and she wrote what she said to that lawyer just few minutes before. Now the lawyer coolly took that paper, he just folded it and kept it in his pocket, and then and then he said to that lady, "Now you can gather the crowd, you can say anything that you want, and that's it." So that's the importance of the documentation, because now the lawyer had the document to prove that the lady was wrong. So that's the importance of the document. So with this note, I would like to start my presentation on documentation for the accreditation. There is a very famous proverb in in context to the documentation, and that is, ink is better than the best memory. So the things which are written stay forever. That is what it means. And uh, this is with this proverb again. I would like to now get into my presentation. Now, before we enter into my first slide and start the presentation, let us understand what is accreditation, and then we will try to understand what is the documentation required for this accreditation and how important that documentation is. Now, what is an accreditation? We all work in the professional educational institutions. In all these professional educational institutions, we follow certain set of policies, we have certain procedures, and all these policies and procedures which are laid down by the institution, they are basically for enhancing the learning experience of the students. So because we consider the students and the learning at the center of the institution. So all the policies and procedures are laid down basically to enhance the learning experience of the students. Now, how do we ensure that our policies and procedures are properly in place and they are providing a better quality of education to the students? Now, if we have devised the policies and procedures, we can be confident that our policies and our procedures are perfect and they are in place to enhance the learning experience of the students. But is it sufficient to say that I have laid down my policies in my institution, or we have laid down our policies in our institution and they are perfect, they are in place, and they are enhancing the learning experience of the students? That may be sufficient because the policies may be really excellent policies and procedures, but you need a third party recognition for this. So a third party recognition is uh, always a thing which will ascertain that you are doing the things in a proper way. So the third party recognition for this set of policies and procedures which have been laid down by the institution are so important. Now, what are these third parties who should certify that our policies, our procedures, which are being followed in our institution, are really helping the students to enhance their learning experience? Now, there are many such uh, third parties which will which will evaluate your policies, procedures. They will evaluate your teaching learning process. They will evaluate the administrative processes in the institution, and they will certify that they are properly in place. Now, what are those institutions? There are certain international such institutions where from where the team of evaluators visit your institution, and they check the policies, procedures, the teaching, learning, administration, and they will certify that they are properly in place. And that process is called as accreditation. Now, what are those third parties which accreditate your institution and the programs? Now, there are many such third parties. To name a few international accreditation agencies, there is one called as ABET. So it's a US organization, ABET. This ABET accredited institutions are recognized um, in that part of world, in USA, in some certain part of Europe, and mainly in the Middle East. So these are the regions where the ABET accredited institutions are recognized. Now, a student taking a degree from ABET accredited institution, is his degree will be recognized at par with all the international similar degrees in this part of world, USA, Middle East, and certain part of Europe. Then there is a UK style of education, and there is a UK accreditation agency. What is that is called as IET. Now, these IET accreditations are recognized in a part which mainly covers certain part of Europe, UK, and that's it. So these ABET and IET accreditation agencies, they are international agencies. There could be national agencies in very many countries. Like in India, we have National Board of Accreditation (NBA). In Muscat, in Oman rather, there is an agency called as Oman Academic Accreditation Authority, OAAA accreditation. That's a national accreditation in Oman. So just like that, we have in India, we have National Board of Accreditation, which follows a pattern which is much similar to ABET accreditation. So now, when we apply for such a recognition from a third party, for example, today we will be talking about National Board of Accreditation (NBA), the national agency for the accreditation. So when we apply for obtaining a recognition from NBA for our policies, procedures, and our teaching, learning, and administration, what happens? So a team of evaluators, they visit our campus, they verify all our procedures, all our policies, all our teaching learning practices, the administrative practices, and uh, if all these processes and policies and procedures, if these are found uh, um, uh, in place to enhance the learning experience ultimately for the students, then the accreditation is obtained. So we get a recognition from the third party. Now, to assess ourselves, there have to be certain criteria based on what the accreditation agency will evaluate us. So there will be certain criteria. So for this National Board of Accreditation, there are 10 different criteria based on which the the team of evaluators will evaluate the uh, the institution as well as the department. Now, let me go into those criteria. Those are the evaluation criteria. So there are 10 evaluation criteria overall. Now, let me tell you one more small detail about this evaluation criteria, that there are two categories of institutions recognized by the National Board of Accreditation. Now, those type of institutions are called as Tier 1 institutions and Tier 2 institutions. Tier 1 institutions are generally the institutions which are having academic autonomy. So the autonomous institutions which are not affiliated with the university, they are generally called as Tier 1 institutions, whereas the institutions which are university affiliated institutions, they come under Tier 2. Now the evaluation criteria which has been displayed on your screen, this is basically the evaluation criteria, 10 different evaluation criteria. These are basically the criteria for tier 2 institutions. For tier 1 institutions, the title of the criteria is exactly the same, whereas the weightages are little different. If you carefully look at this slide, in bracket I have written some certain numbers. For example, criteria 1, vision, mission, and program educational objectives, 60. The 60 is the marks. So this criteria will be evaluated on a scale of 60. And similarly, each criteria has got its own weightages. Now, uh, the tier 2 institutions will have this particular weightages, which have been shown in this slide. Whereas tier 1 criteria will be same, but the evaluation weightage will be slightly different. So the total evaluation, if you add all the marks which have been mentioned in this slide, it is a 1000 mark examination for the entire institution. Now, what is meant by entire institution? The entire institution means the students, the, the faculty, the support staff, and the administrative staff. Right? So entire thing. So everyone in the institution, and not only that, to some extent, the parents of the students which are taking education in a particular institution, the employers which employ the students graduating from that particular institution, all of these taken together forms a group, and this group has to pass this examination of 1000 marks. So it is that simple to understand the basics. So this is an examination of 1000 marks, and this examination has to be taken not by an individual, by a group of people, which includes every stakeholder in related to a particular institution. So we will come back to these evaluation criteria at the end. Now, because there are certain criteria, the team of evaluators which visit the institution, they will evaluate the institution based on each criteria. Now, for evaluating a particular institution or particular entity on a particular criteria, the team will have uh, to have a look at certain evidences. For example, the vision, mission, program, educational objectives, the criteria number 1, 60 marks. Now, what is your vision? What is the mission? What are the program educational objectives? And how did the institution formulate this vision, mission, and program educational objectives? All these things need to be verified by the team. So they require certain evidences of the work which has been carried out. So all those evidences need to be well organized, because if the documentation is not proper, then it will be very difficult to prove that you have done it in a systematic way. So to prove that you are doing certain things in a systematic way, you have been doing certain things in a systematic way, and you did some things in a systematic way, we must have a proper documentation. That's the importance of documentation in this particular process. So to prove that we are excelling on all the criteria, we have to, or we are doing respectably well in all the criteria, we need to have certain documentation which is arranged in a systematic way. And to arrange a documentation in a systematic way is not a overnight task. We have to have ourselves oriented in that particular way. So we have to change uh, our rather campus lifestyle. The way corona has this COVID-19 has changed our general lifestyle entirely. Similarly, this accreditation process, when we are going through this accreditation process, we will have to change our way to look at the various processes taking place in the educational institution. And if we change our way to look at the things, the documentation won't be difficult. So it's a teamwork basically. There has to be a team of the program, team working in a department, which is generally called as a program in this particular context. So there has to be a team working in a department, and there has to be a team working at a institution level. So if we have this team, we can we can go ahead with a a systematic documentation. So to talk on the documentation, basically, what are the different documentations required for the accreditation? So there will be two levels of documentation required. One is program level documentation, and another is institution level documentation. Now, the program level documentation is the documentation maintained in the department, which is also called as a program now. And the institutional level documentation has to be maintained at a central institution level. So without wasting a time, we will just jump into the program level documentation. Now, there is no standardization as such for the program level documentation. So the things that I'm going to present, maybe it is my perspective to look at the documentation, but there could be many different perspectives to look at the documentation. So the way I felt it can be efficient, I'm trying to present it to you. So what I have done is, there could be, let's say, 25 files maintained in the department, and uh, through those 25 files, we will be able to provide all the evidences to the evaluation team, which comes to the campus and which evaluates the program as well as the institution on those 10 criteria that I have shown you. So at program level, we can maintain 25 files, and in these 25 files, I think if we maintain these 25 files as I'm showing you, I think all the evidences which are necessary to qualify satisfactorily through all the evaluation criteria, I think that would be done if we maintain these 25 files. So what are those 25 files? We will take a look at those 25 files one by one. So I will begin this with the program level documentation, file number 1, P1. Since it is a program level, it is the letter used is P, and file number is 1. So file P1 is program level documentation, file number 1. What it should contain? It should contain previous NBA accreditation reports. If you have already gone through the previous accreditation, and if you are going through a process of re-accreditation, then all the documents related to previous NBA accreditation should be there in this file. So copy of previous accreditation reports, I have just mentioned something. Let me just rush through it. Then action taken reports in terms of previous NBA recommendation. So when the institution is accredited, when the team visits, just before the team visits, they prepare a report and they hand over the report to the institution, and there would be some recommendations, there would be some commendations. So these recommendations are basically the things which the committee feels that if you implement those, you will be even better. So these recommendations. So the previous accreditation is, suppose the institution has gone through a previous accreditation process and they have received certain recommendations. What action did the institution take based on those previous recommendations? Those actions have to be documented properly. So that has to be there in this file. Then the improvements that have been done as per the last accreditation report also should be there in this file. Then you are going for a second accreditation process, then you should have your SWOT analysis done for the program. Even if you are going for the accreditation for the first time, the SWOT analysis should be present in this file. What is SWOT analysis? The SWOT analysis is nothing but the analysis of your program strengths, analysis of program weaknesses, analysis of program opportunities, and analysis of program challenges. So SWOT analysis. Earlier, it used to be called as SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Since threat has got a negative shade, so the word threat has been replaced by challenges. So you have to have this SWOT analysis in the file number 1. Move on to the file number 2, department budget and allocations. Very important file. Now, a methodology of budget has to be documented properly. So how a budget comes to the department, and once the budget comes to the department, how do we allocate the budget for the various heads under the department? So that methodology document has to be there in this file. Now the budget estimated from the department, that document has to be there. The for finalization of the budget, there would have been minutes, rather there would have been meetings of the senior faculty or all the faculty as well as support staff in the department. So all the records of all such meetings, which are called as minutes of the meeting, should be present in this file. Now the budget utilization, once the budget is allocated to the department, it has to be spent efficiently for the purpose for which it was allocated, and its utilization has to be its utilization report has to be there in this file. So, and these documents need to be there for 3 years. Generally, generally when we go through this accreditation process, a team of evaluators visits the institution, and they will check all these criteria and the appropriate evidences for a period of 3 years, so that they can see the institution, how the institution is improving upon their own limitations. So for that, basically the process requires documentation for 3 years, and there is a typical terminology for this. CAY means current academic year, CAY -1, that means previous academic year, and CAY -2 means the previous to the previous academic year. So CAY -1, and CAY -2. So these three academic years documents should be available in these files. So it's not only the current academic year. Now move on to the next file, the program level documentation, file number 3, P3. This is related to admission data. What should be the content of this file?
We should have the merit list process. Then we should have last 3 years public domain admission process information. So then we should have the marketing brochures which are used for attracting the students for the admission to our campus. Then there are two different processes of admissions. There are students admitted through the central admission process, and there is a management level quota for the admissions. So how do we fill this management quota and how the central admission process goes? That should be represented in the form of flowchart. It should be there in this file. Then intake versus actual admission report should be there. So each program may have a particular sanctioned intake. Against that sanctioned intake, there may be 100% admissions, or there may be certain percentage of admissions. Let's say if the quota for a particular program is, let's say, 60, and if the admissions are only 30, then it's a 50% admission. So this picture should be very clear to the team of evaluators. So intake is nothing but the sanctioned intake, versus actual admission is the actual number of students which are admitted into the program. So this report should be there for previous 3 years. Current academic year -1, and current academic year -2. Then cutoff report of all the entrance examinations. This is very important to ascertain that you have got what quality of the students you have got. So cutoff report for all the entrance examinations. Then the application form which has been devised by your own institutions for getting it filled from the students when they start reporting to the institution after going through the central admission process. So that application form has to be there. A sample of that form has to be there. And of course, in this admission process, whenever you have a team of people working on this, you will have a meetings of those people, and you will get the feedback from those people working in the team, the parents which are visiting your campus, the students which are visiting your campus, you may have taken the feedback. Rather, you should take the feedback and you should analyze what that feedback, and all that feedback as well as analysis and the steps taken to improve based on that feedback analysis should be there in this admission data. Let's move on to the next file, program level documentation, file number 4, P4, students data. What is expected in this file? In this file, we generally expect list of students who have cleared the program in 3 or 4 years. Why I am saying 3 or 4 years? The students who come to the first year or the year 1 after completing their 12th, they will spend 4 years for completing their graduation. Whereas the students who get directly admitted to second year after completing their diploma, they will spend 3 years to graduate in that engineering institution. So you have to have list of students who cleared the program in 3 years or 4 years without any backlog. Then you should also have the list of students who cleared the program in 3 or 4 years with backlog. And you should also have the list of students who did not clear the program in 3 or 4 years. So they had a year drop in between because of the poor performance, maybe because of certain valid reasons. But there will be students who will not be able to complete the program in the stipulated time period. So you should have the list of all such students. And the third list is so important. The students who are not able to clear the program in 3 or 4 years. So for those students, the institution must have certain support mechanism. So what is that action plan for the students who could not clear the program in the specified duration? What did the institution do to encourage them to come back and study again and improve their performance? So that is more important in this file. So the next file is again a students related data, but this time it is CGPA, so cumulative grade point average. So list of all the students with their CGPA for the current academic year, then current academic year -1 and current academic year -2. So this is merely the CGPA report of all the students which are there in the program for last 3 years. The next file is program level documentation again, and it is again a students data, but this time it is placements and higher studies related data. So what should be the content of this file? This file should contain the list of students who have made their own startups after graduation, and we should have year-wise students data. Then the list of students who have joined the higher studies after completing the graduation. This list also should be there in this file. And finally, the list of the students which found out the employment. So who are employed. So this list also should be there. And it's not only the list, but some support document should be there. So some evidences should be there about this. So for example, a student who has went ahead for starting his own company, right? His company registration related document, certain document that proves that a student has got a registered company in his name. Or the students who have joined higher education, maybe their admit letters, or maybe their the fee receipts which have been paid by the student for the higher education. So something of this sort of documentation should be there. So these are called evidences. And the students who have got employed, their support document could be the appointment orders issued by the company. Then apart from that, in this file, we should have employer's feedback and its respective analysis. It should also contain the mechanism to identify the curriculum gaps and the student skill gaps as per the employer feedback. So there could be certain curricular gaps which which are seen very clearly by the employers but may not be seen by us. So we should be in consistently in touch with the employers to get such feedbacks periodically. And based on this feedback, we can identify the curricular gaps as well as the student skill gaps, and then we can devise an action plan to take the report, to take the corrective actions to improve or to rather bridge these gaps. And that action plan taken report, uh, action plan report or action taken report has to be there in this file. Then it should also contain the student records for the co-curricular as well as extracurricular activities, because these co-curricular as well as extracurricular activities are very important for the students, that these activities also help the student for seeking the better placement. So all such records should also be there in this file P6. Let's move on to the next program level documentation P7. The file is P7. This file holds the records of the professional activities which are organized in the departments or which are taking place in the department. Now there should be a summary of all invited sessions for staff as well as students. Generally we invite the speakers from outside, those who are working in emerging fields or those who are working at appropriate levels in the industry, which can the experience of whom can really help the institutions. We generally keep on inviting such guest lectures, and we arrange such sessions for the staff as well as students. So all such summary should be there: which day the session was organized, what time, what was the title of the event, who was the expert, right? And the association of the expert with his own employer. So all those details should be there in this particular file. Then the data related to faculty as well as student publications, along with the citation and indexing should be present in this file, because it's a very important professional activity. So that data is very much necessary in this file. Then the details of students' co-curricular activities should also be there in this file. The co-curricular activities may be participation of the students in the seminars, participation of the students in the workshops, and maybe the presentation of papers in certain symposiums. So all such records should be available in this file P7. Then there are students associations in different programs, different departments. Say for example, if you belong to electrical engineering department, there would be a students association called as Electrical Engineering Students Association, ESA, and so on. So there will be such student associations for each department, and these students association basically facilitate to arrange certain events which lead to professional development of the students. Also the extracurricular activities. So to build certain team spirits and all, the students work in team, they arrange such co-curricular as well as extracurricular events, and that helps to enhance, rather to improve their personality. So basically the details of all the events which are arranged by the students association, that record must go into this file. Then such students associations, they may be coming out with a newsletter, or the department itself may be publishing a newsletter on monthly basis, on fortnightly basis, or bi-monthly newsletters, or maybe a newsletter in a semester. So then the department may be publishing its magazine, which includes all the achievements of the students as well as the staff. Then there would be some cultural sections, and there would be some essays, some research related articles. So department may be publishing a mixed nature of magazine. So that also should be available for the experts to see. Then such college magazine, symposiums, paper presentations, workshops which are arranged, seminars which are arranged, and the all such documentation, maybe certain photographs of such events, all such evidences must go into this professional activities file. And it's very important, after we conduct every such event, the organizing team should sit immediately after the event is over, and the post-event feedback must be analyzed. Right? All the members who were involved in arranging that particular event should sit together. They should discuss what went wrong. Certain times, sometimes sometimes the things go wrong. Nothing wrong if the things go wrong, but through the post-event feedback analysis, we can initiate the actions so that the same thing will not go wrong next time. So that is so important, and all such things which keep on improving your performance event by event must be documented, and such documents should go into this file. Going ahead with the next file, P8. Basically, it's a project reports samples. So there are different types of projects which are carried out by the students. There would be the first category of the project would be in-house project. The next category would be industrial projects, where the ideas are taken from the industry, the live projects, basically the live ideas. And the third category can be funded projects. Not only the idea is taken from the rather project idea is taken from the industry, but the funding which is required is also provided by the industry. So funded projects. So the distribution of the projects in all these three categories has to be documented, and it has to be there in this file. Then very importantly, the rubrics for evaluation of the technical project reports has to go into this. So how you are evaluating your projects, because it's one of the most important evaluation in the phase of engineering. Then the documentation process for selecting the high, intermediate, and threshold level project reports. So generally, when we evaluate the project reports of the students, we have to keep the samples which were the best the projects. Out of such set of best projects, you can keep certain samples for the experts to see, for these evaluators, members of evaluators to see. So then you should also keep certain intermediate level students and certain threshold level students. What is threshold level? Threshold level is the students who just passed through this project. They just did something which was just satisfactory. So that is called threshold level. So you should present the entire cross section of the students to the evaluator. So you should keep certain samples, high, intermediate, and threshold. And what was the criteria selected for identifying the high level, intermediate level, and threshold level project reports? That has to be there. And any achievements which have been there for the students or as well as for the faculty through this project report. Certain students will participate in certain project competitions, and the students win certain recognitions in such competitions. So all such things have to be documented, and they must go into this report. Then the next file for the program level documentation is P9. Now the most important, rather one of the most important files, faculty to student ratio. So summary of all the students admitted should be available in this file. The number of faculty members available, of course, and then the faculty to students ratio. Now this ratio is very important, and this is one of the this is one of the sub criteria for the evaluating team. Now in this file, faculty list with designation as well as the highest qualification should be present. Then how we distribute the teaching workload, so teaching hours. So that distribution of teaching hours should be there in this file, and the faculty retention ratio. What is faculty retention? Basically, the window period for which the institution is being evaluated is 3 years, because all the documentation is verified for current academic year -1 and -2. So 3 years. So this faculty retention ratio is nothing but the faculty which has been there consistently for last 3 years in the same department. So if such faculty, if there are, let's say, 20 faculty members in a department, and out of 20 faculty members, let's say 15 faculty members, or 15 faculty members have been there for last 3 years consistently, then 15 out of 20 faculty members have been retained. So you can calculate the ratio, 15 divided by 20. So faculty retention ratio. This shows that the faculty has been retained by the institution, and the faculty wants to get retained in the same institution, because of course there will be good policies and procedures being followed. So it's an indirect indication. Let's move on to the next file, faculty administrative details. Now, faculty related criteria has got a highest the marks for the evaluation, 200 marks. And that's why faculty related, lot of things you will see in this documentation. So this is a second file which is related to the faculty, but now administrative details. Now, list of faculty, employee code, name, qualification, date of joining, all those details for all the faculty members should be documented and should be available in this file. Then what else can be the administrative details of the faculty? The appointment letters, the salary slips, receipts, then the salary increment letters, service books of all the faculty members, right? Their promotion documents, then the copies of the office orders issued time to time for entrusting certain responsibilities on those faculty members. All such documents should be there in this file. Now, a sample personal file also should be available here. So it may not be this personal file of the faculty may not be required for all the faculties, but few sample files should be available in this administrative details. Then a summary report for cadre wise should be also present in this particular file. Now let's move on to the next, the documentation program level, file number 11. Again, faculty related file, but very important file, research and publications of the faculty. What it should contain? It should contain details of the faculty research. What are those details? The title, the platform, the year of publication, its indexing, its impact factor, all such details for every faculty should be present in this particular file. Then there should be evidences of the faculty research papers or the award certificates. So a copy of paper or copy of at least front page of the paper should be available here. Then the certain faculty members are active in book writing and writing the book chapters. So such books as well as the book chapters published by the faculty should be available as an evidence here. Now, another research related very important the evidence which should go into this file should be the details of the doctoral supervision. Certain faculty members, senior faculty members who have got their PhD degrees, they might be guiding certain candidates for the award of PhD. So all such details should be available. Certain faculty members may be doing PhD themselves and under certain faculty development programs. So all such details should also go into this file. The next file that is available here is the faculty funded projects and consultancy. Now, what should go into this file? All the details of funded research projects by the faculty, done by the faculty, such as the title of the project, the funding agency, what was the amount, what was the duration of that particular project, what was the role of that particular faculty member in that particular research project. All these details must go into this file. Now, the details of industrial consultancy should also be available here. Now, this industrial consultancy may be a paid one. The industry sponsored consultancy. The industry pays a handsome amount for carrying out certain research leading to the product development. Then there are certain honorary consultancies which are done for the central, state, or the local government organization. So details of all such honorary consultancy as well as the paid industrial consultancies should go into this file. Then the research leading to the product development and the instructional material which has been developed through such processes should also be documented, and it should go into this file. Now, the documentation related to funded projects or the consultancy includes the sanction letter, the utilization certificate which is obtained at the end of the duration of the project, then project completion reports, letter from the company for award of consultancy if it falls in the consultancy, and once the consultancy work is completed and the results are handed over, then the completion certificate. So all such documents should go into this particular file. Then the next file, P30, again faculty interactions, but these interactions are outside the institution. These are professional interactions. Now, what could be such interactions? The membership of professional societies. So if I'm whether I'm a member of IIT, whether I'm a member of IEEE, whether I'm a member of IST, whether I'm a member of any professional organization which works in the field of my engineering branch. So all such memberships, their details for all the faculty members must be present in this particular file. Then so membership of governing council. So a faculty member may be a member of governing council of the same institution, or maybe a member of board of studies of any other university, or maybe a working on the advisory board of a company. So all such records should go here because this proves that the faculty has got professional linkages. Then the record which is association with an industry for the consultancy work, basically. So whether a faculty member is associated with any industry for a consultation work or advisory board. So all such documents should go into this file. So this is a faculty interaction which falls in the professional category. Now the faculty interactions, curricular and co-curricular. Now membership of question paper setting team. Now faculty interactions can be curricular, they can be co-curricular, they can be within the institution, they can be outside the institution. So a faculty member may be a member of a question paper setting team for some other university. So that is a curricular interaction of the faculty with other university or the institution. Then a faculty member could be a member of evaluation team for the other university. So he may be assessing certain reports or the answer scripts for the examinations for the other university of the institutions. So this record should go there. Such office orders will be generally issued for such tasks. So all such documents should go into this file. Now the faculty member might have arranged a faculty development workshop, and he had there would have been a participation from the other institutions. So this again builds a faculty interaction in a co-curricular manner with the professionals working from other universities or the institutions. Then faculty may be going out or maybe organizing a short-term training program for the outside institutions. So this is again a interaction of the faculty member which falls in a co-curricular category. So all such records of the faculty interaction which are related to curricular directly or co-curricular activities should be present in this file. The next file is the classroom and the faculty rooms. Now something related to infrastructure now. Now, area and master plan for all the classrooms along with the room areas should be available in this file. Generally, for this AICT, All India Council for Technical Education, if you go through its norms, the classroom area required is 66 square meter, whereas a faculty room required size is 5 square meter. So whether your institution follows all those norms or not, that can be proved by having this particular document in this particular file. So area and master plan for classrooms along with the room areas, list of classrooms, their seating capacity, and their floor, block and floor details, where exactly this classroom is situated and which floor it is situated. Then faculty room details along with the floor plan should be available in this file, and the details of the facilities for conducting theory classes, tutorials, all such facilities should be available. What is the capacity per room? What are the equipment available in the classroom? Right? Whether a computer or a multimedia projector, audio system, interactive boards are available. All such things should be documented, and it should be kept in this particular file. Then program specific laboratories and computational facilities. Now, this is again a very important file in which following records will go: the details of number of computers, then the student to computer ratio, generally 4:1. First, for each set of 4 students, there should be at least 1 computer available. If it is better, it is a plus point. Then all the details of legal softwares, networking, annual maintenance contracts, the number of printers available in the department, the number of scanners available in the department. All these records will go into this particular file. Then the program specific laboratories. The summary of all the laboratory names, the batch sizes that we generally prefer for the students to work into this particular lab. Then availability of manuals for those laboratories. Every laboratory should have its lab manual, and it can be kept in this particular file as an evidence. Then there are a number of instruments available in the laboratory. Whether we calibrate those instruments for their accuracy, for their reliability, that is also important. And every time we calibrate, we have to have the certifications for the calibration. That can be kept as an evidence in this file. Then the safety measures, the charts which are generally prepared for the safety measures to be taken in the laboratory and displayed. So we can keep the photographs of all such safety measures which have been displayed in the laboratory, and we can keep that as an evidence into this particular file. Then there could be a dedicated project laboratory for each department, and its utilization report has to go into this particular file. So just for the namesake, project lab should not be there. Whether the project lab is really being used by the students, that utilization report has to go into this particular file. There could be a postgraduate program running in the same department. So if it is there, the laboratories which are used for postgraduate can be mentioned separately. All the details like undergraduate laboratories should be prepared for the PG laboratory and kept separately in this file. Needless to say that there will be a number of equipments in the laboratory. We have to have a list of all such equipments, their make, their model, right? The logbook of individual equipment. The logbook will basically will show us the utilization of that particular equipment. So keeping the logbooks is so important, and along with that, keeping the weekly utilization status reports in this file would greatly help. Then all laboratory timetables must be available here, and the logbooks, copies of the logbooks. The main logbook should be there in the laboratory, but the copy of that as a sample should be available in this particular file. The next program level document is file number 17, where the technical and support staff details will be available. So list of all non-technical staffs working in the department along with their qualification, experience, appointment and joining details should be available in this file. Then non-teaching to teaching staff ratio should also be calculated, and a document related to that should be kept here. The details of technical staff such as designation, date of joining, qualification, professional advancements, more importantly, should be the documents related to this should be available in this file. Then if you are arranging training programs for the technical staff for their skills improvement or skill enhancement, all such details of training programs must be available in this particular file. Then there would be some new facilities created especially for the for a particular program that should be available in the file P18. Details of all the facilities created, right, for program specific requirements, such as fully equipped shared smart classroom with LCD projector, interactive boards, audio systems, all such things. So these things will be helpful for the students to practice their presentations, to record certain presentations, and to improve their presentation skills. So this is a program specific facility created by the program, in the program, for the students studying in the program. So all such details and its utilization record should be maintained. Of course, whenever you create any facility, you have to have its utilization record. So simply creation of facility is not enough. We have to encourage the users to use that facility, and we have to keep the record of usage. So that is so important. So objective of why did you create basically this particular facility? What was your intention? How it is related to the program outcomes or program specific outcomes? So all such a document which states all these things should be available in this department, in this file. Then what was the cost of project and the process of getting approvals for this, the documents which lead to the approval of this particular creation of the facility has to go into this particular file. Moving ahead to the next file, the program specific improvements. Now this is very important because there is a specific criteria for assessment of the continuous improvements. So for that particular criteria, these will be the support documents. These will be the evidences. What goes into this file? The records of program specific improvements, such as quality of the students admitted to the program. You have a record of the students admitted into the particular program for last 3 years. Now, by looking at the trend of the students, if you are getting the students with higher cutoff every year as compared to the previous year, then the quality of the students admitted to the program is getting continuously improved. That could be proved. Then academic performance of the first year students, very important criteria, right? If you can prove that there is a continuous improvement in the academic performance of the first year students, then also you can indirectly prove that your teaching methodology and the assessment rubrics, the assessment philosophy is well in place, and that is leading to the continuous improvement in the academic performance of the first year students. So this document is so important. Then the success index of the students with backlog, very important document, because that shows how you are trying to improve upon your own failures. So very important documents. Then improved number of placements, of course, improved number of students going to the higher studies, and improved number of entrepreneurship initiatives made by the students. So all these things will prove that the program is continuously undergoing an improvement. See? And then there could be an academic audit and this academic audit should be done every year for the program, and then through this audit, certain suggestions, certain say ways to improve the particular practices, academic practices, teaching learning practices could come out, and that will ultimately lead to the continuous improvements. So we need to take actions based on the feedback received from the academic audit. So all these documents, the feedback received from the academic audit and the action taken based on the feedback received from the academic audit should be available in this particular file. Moving ahead with the next one, the curriculum, PO. PO is nothing but program objective, program outcomes. PEO is nothing but program educational objectives and mission vision. So this file we should be prepared, and what should go into this file? The copy of curriculum, its analysis. The curriculum analysis can be there in the curriculum. There could be program core modules, elective modules, open electives modules. There could be summer projects, internships, seminars. Then such kind of analysis of the curriculum has to be made, and there has to be vision mission statement. There has to be process of defining this vision mission and the program educational objectives. And how do we come out with vision, mission, and program educational objectives? The contribution of the stakeholders is also important in formation of vision, mission, and the program educational objectives. So all that has to go into this. Then the process of defining program educational objectives and program educational objective statements should be also be present in this particular file. Then process of defining the program outcomes and program specific outcomes should also be outlined, and it has to go into this particular file. Then the next file, the CO-PO correlation, very important aspect of the accreditation. So list what should go into this file. It should list the program outcomes and the program specific outcomes statements. Then it should list the sample course objectives and the course outcomes. It should also include the mapping of program outcomes with the course outcomes. So each course will have certain number of outcomes. So after studying that particular course, the student has to come out with number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, certain abilities. So what are those things? That is called as the course outcomes. These course outcomes are linked in a way to the program outcomes. So when the student is undergoing this education in this particular program, now just at the end of the program, what are the qualities the student should have? And that is basically outlined in the program outcomes. And these program outcomes are linked with the course outcomes. So unless you deliver those qualities and capabilities to the students through the course, the program outcomes cannot be fulfilled. So, but not each course outcome is related to each program outcome. So this mapping, which particular courses are their course outcomes are linked with the program outcomes, and all that map has to be prepared, and that has to go into this file. Then there has to be a sample course file, which is very important for a particular faculty as well as for a particular department. Now, what should go into this course file? Now, the content of this course file should be the course descriptor with the course outcomes. There should be lesson plan, then the course outcomes and their mapping to the program outcomes. This map should be present, so that the teacher will be continuously looking at this particular aspect and would be able to deliver the course. Then there should be assessment, all the assessments along with their rubrics. Then there should be a student list available, the results of the students for all their assessments and its analysis should be there. Then CO-PO attainment report should be there. Tomorrow you are going to go through a session where you will understand the CO and PO attainment in thorough details. Then sample of all the question papers, assignments, whatever you prepare for the assessments, and whatever results the students come out with, the samples of everything has to be kept in this particular file. Then and how many such course files should be available as the samples? The number of course files available should be that should be available in the sample course files. There is no such thumb rule for having how many for how many files should be available as the sample course files. But generally, the courses which are responsible for attainment of mostly all the program outcomes, all such courses should be grouped together, and samples of all such course files should be available here. Then the program outcome attainment, very important thing. There are direct methods and there are indirect assessment methods to check the attainment of the program outcomes. So the direct methods will include the internal tests, assignments, seminar project reports, presentation, and university examinations, whereas indirect methods will invariably include the course exit surveys. So evaluation rubrics for all such direct as well as indirect assessments should be available in this file. The result sheets for all the assessments should be available, and the result analysis should be available. And finally, all these results, how they help to attain certain program outcomes, that chart should be available for all the courses. Then the next file goes like the improvements in the teaching learning. So this is again an important file because this is showing how you are improving continuously. So details of efforts for imparting lifelong learning skills for the students, then alumni interactions with the students and the institutions, details of industrial visits along with the feedback and its analysis. All these factors, they are leading to improvement in the teaching learning process. So details of invited lectures, feedback and its analysis, details of student exchange programs, field trips, faculty exchange, industrial internships, summer internships, collaborative research with the industry. All these are the mechanisms which finally bring in improvement in the teaching learning process. So all such evidences should go into this file. And lastly, the program level documentation, the stakeholders involvement, very important. We cannot be complete unless we involve all our stakeholders into it. So who are the stakeholders? The students, the faculty, the staff members, the employers, alumni, their parents. All these are the stakeholders. So for formation of program educational objectives and the vision and mission of the institution, we have to take the involvement from all the stakeholders. So, and for that we have to have continuous touch with these stakeholders. So we should conduct the meetings, we should keep the records of all such meetings, and we should keep them as a evidence in this particular file. So this was all about the program level documentation. Let's just rush through. I think I have got another I think 10 to 15 minutes, not more than 10 to 15 minutes. So we will just rush through this institution level documentation because maybe the department faculty may not be directly involved in the institution level documentation, but yes, many inputs to the institution level documentation go from the department. So we need to see the institution level documents, and with my own logic, I have divided this documentation into set of 15 files. What goes in the first file? So the institute level governance, something related to institution level governance will go into this file. what will be there in this file? The governing council, its functions, responsibilities, and the minutes of meetings, and the action taken reports out of it. Then composition of the Senate, its functions and responsibilities, minutes of meeting, and the action taken. Then there has to be a strategic plan for the particular institution. So that strategic plan should be available. Then very importantly, how the decentralization in the working has been brought in by the institution, that has to be documented here. So the list of the names of the faculty members who have been delegated powers for taking the administrative decisions. See, these things will these things will prove that there is a decentralization approach, which is a progressive approach. And then there has to be a grievance redressal mechanism, and anti-ragging and sexual harassment committees. So all that constitution should go into this file. Then there have to be rules and regulations and policies, basically. So these rules, regulations, and policies, procedures, all that has to be documented, and it has to be available in this file. And not only in this file, this has to be disseminated to every stakeholder. So rules, regulations, policies have to be known to all the stakeholders of the institution. So that dissemination is so important. Then service books of the faculty members, then this should be available, and evidences of the appropriate dissemination of all these rules, regulation, and possibilities should be available in this particular file. Then the budget at the institution level. So copy of all the audited statements available should be available in this particular file. And not only that, it should be available on the website also. So it has to be in the public domain. Allocation and utilization of the budget in a single summary report for the various departments, because this is an institution level file. There can be number of departments. So allocation and utilization of the budget in a single summary report should be available here. Then minutes of the meetings related to the budget should go into this particular file, and delegation of financial powers. Then the institution should have a website, and it has to be very informative and useful to the stakeholders. So everything related to this website has to be documented in this particular file. So website registration, the domain registration, and then timely renewal of the annual maintenance contracts for the website. Then vision, mission, and program educational objectives which are available on the website should be exactly printed and should be available here as a evidence. Then last 3 years audited account statements which are available on the website, a copy of that should go into this particular file. So website, what your website is basically containing, all that information should be available in the hard copy documentation form in this particular file. Then library. Library is considered to be an independent institution within the institution itself. And that's why this file is so important. The library report sent to the AICT for extension of approval. Every year we need to send the report of the institution to the AICT for extension of approval. So like the information which is library related in that report has to be available in a hard copy in this particular library file. Then yearly budget allocations, its utilization, then the library and reading room floor plans, right, the facilities with the timings, right, and with relevant, of course, evidences such as biometric entries and all. Then periodic usage of the reports for the books as well as periodicals, most important document. Then there is a National Digital Library registration. Earlier it was paid facility, but now from 2018 onwards, this registration is free. So there has to be evidence of registration of your library with the National Digital Library. So then collection of feedbacks time to time from the staff as well as students, and that has to be available. And then the corrective actions, of course, the details of library staff should be available in this file. Then the next is computational facility. This file basically documents all the evidences which are related to the computational facilities, such as number of computers, student to computer ratio, details of legal software, networking, and contention ratio certifications, then details of number of printers and scanners available at the institution level now. So all such data related to, rather evidences related to computational facilities will go into this file. I think this presentation, I will share this presentation with the organizers. If the participants need to go into the details of all these things, the organizers can share this presentation with the participants. Then the next file is basically related to training and placement as well as career counseling. So the evidences related to training, placement, career counseling will go into this. Right? Mainly, what it contains is the documents related to trainings which are arranged for the students for their better placement opportunities. Then the documents, the evidences related to the placement of the students, and the evidences for the career counseling of the students. There has to be a career counseling cell, and its activities have to be documented, and that those should go into this file. So it is a 7th file. Then this is again equally important, 8th file, institution level documentation, safety. So all the electrical installations have to be properly checked for the leakage and earthing. Then purchase orders for all the safety equipments purchased have to go into this particular file. Then structural plan safety audits reports should go into this file. Then the medical care, there has to be MOUs with the hospitals or the doctors, and the doctor must be visiting the particular institution periodically, and there would be medical counseling of the students, and the records of all such medical counseling will go into this particular file. Then academic calendar and records, basically all the approved academic calendars for all the programs in the institution have to be available in this particular file, and schedule of all the regular academic classes, tutorials, support classes, co-curricular activities and all should be available in this particular file. Then learning material and outcomes, samples of all the handouts and the notes should be available, not for all the courses across all the programs, a few samples, so that the evaluation team can understand how the handouts and the notes have been distributed among the students. So the record of, then it should also contain the record of identified gap areas in the program-wise courses, and it should also include the first year course outcomes mapped with the program outcomes. Then the next file will have the academic records related to academic assessments, where all the samples of question papers, assignments, quizzes, their correlation with PO and CO, all that will be available, plus the model answer keys used for all these assessments along with the marking rubrics should be available in this particular file. So these records will be available in the department, whereas here the samples will be kept. Now this is a stakeholders feedback, basically. So the students are the main stakeholders, their feedback on quality of teaching, then and then the corrective actions which are coming out of such feedback, then feedback from the parents about college infrastructure placements, then feedback from alumni about the college infrastructure placements, feedback from the employer about the college infrastructure placements and their analysis. All such documents should go into this. Then the faculty first year separate file has to be maintained. The details of all the faculty teaching the first year courses along with their qualification and experience, and the first year student to faculty ratio. These evidences have to be kept in this particular file. And the last institutional level file which has to be maintained is the results of first year. So records of results of all assessments of first year students have to be available in this particular file, because the department level files do not hold the records for the first year. So it has to be held centrally. So analysis of all these results attainments of the course outcomes for all the first year courses through different types of assessments, and the record of identification of slow learners and the support mechanism that is used for improving the learning experience of such slow learners has to be kept in this particular file. So now we have seen that uh, there are 25 the program level files, and there are 15 institution level files. If we maintain this documentation, right, then these documentations have got the linkages for the different criteria of evaluation. So when you are undergoing NBA accreditation, the team of evaluators will visit your institution and they will check, they will assess you. You means the program as well as the institution based on a set of 10 criteria. So when the evaluation of criteria number 1 is going on, which files will be useful for providing the evidences? So program level file 20 and 25 is useful for supporting the criteria number 1 evidences. And similarly for criteria number 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5 and up to 10, what are the program level files and what are the institution level files which directly are helpful for this for providing the evidences for various criteria have been given in the subsequent 3 slides. So criteria 1, 2, 3 are seen here. Then criteria 4, 5, 6 and the files which are files from the program level as well as files from the institution level which are supporting the particular criteria evaluation have been mentioned in this slide. Then criteria number 7, 8, 9, again which program level files and which institution level files are useful, that has been mentioned here. And finally the criteria number 10, the documentation linkages have been shown here for the criteria number 10. So this was all I wanted to say in this presentation. Basically, it's a teamwork. So if there is a team, this documentation is not difficult. Look, going through this documentation process, one might feel that in the institution, more than teaching, documentation work is going on. So if you feel nothing wrong in that, but uh, if majority of the faculty members or majority of the staff is having this kind of feeling that NBA means lot of documentation only, so more than the actual activities, creation of evidence. So if that is a feeling among majority of the staff as well as faculty members, then take it from me that there is no teamwork in such institution. If there is a teamwork, this documentation is not at all difficult. We have to have a team working in the department and team working at the institution level. And if that is there, then maintaining these documents is not at all difficult. In fact, let me tell you that most of us are already doing most of these activities, but only thing that we lack is to properly document the things that we are doing. So if we make it a habit that once we do something, we have to make a document that we have done something, so that it leaves a precedence. So if that is followed and if we work in a team, I don't think this preparation of all these documents will be a issue at all. Now, to understand, before I say thank you, I have given a link on this slide. uh, this is a link from the NBA website, NBA India website. So this basically gives you evaluation guidelines for tier 2 institutions, which are nothing but university affiliated institutions. So if you go through these guidelines, you will understand the details of all different 10 criteria and uh, the documentation which is required to be provided as the evidence for these evaluation criteria. So please go through this link, and I hope you will try to come out with your own teams, and you will start working in the teams, and documentation would be really enjoyable. This process would be enjoyable. And I wish you all the best, and thank you for patient listening. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful and knowledgeable session. Indeed, it certainly be very useful for all of us because it is giving information from basic till achievement of accreditation. Now we have some questions from our wonderful audience. I'll read them out and you request you to reply. My first question is, sir, uh, for placement data, what type of documents are mandatory required if particular batch are passed out only after letter required or any other documents required?
In the placement, let me again.
Should I repeat?
Yeah, no. Let me again share the screen to
Okay.
go back to. Yeah. I'll just take this. Yeah, I'll just take it to I7. The institution level 7. Yeah. So the training placement career counseling, this file should be maintained in this particular way. The industry interaction for training, placement, internship, oblique placements. So the interaction of the institution with the industry for training as well as internship, oblique placement opportunities should be there. Training and placement calendar should be available here, and the placement brochure should be prepared by the institution at the beginning of every academic year. And this training placement calendar as well as brochure should be there. Then the details of the training sessions arranged by the institution on campus should be available here. So we need to train the students so that their placement experience could be enriched. So for all such efforts, what all efforts we have made, then the attendance record of all the students in all such training placement related events should be maintained as a mandatory requirement here. Then so these records basically we need to keep, and of course the placement records that for the last 3 years, basically how many students got placed for current academic year -1 and current academic year -2. And we can consider the placements that took place within 6 months after graduation of the students, while we are making all these documents. A student who seeks the employment within 6 months of 6 months after the graduation could be considered for these records. So this record should be basically maintained.
Thank you, sir. So another question is, As far as the research work of faculty member is considered, do we have to keep Xerox of full papers or only abstract or front page is enough?
Generally, first page would be enough, because in many international accreditations which I have gone through, the first page was enough, because that creates all the evidences. Generally, on the journals which are peer reviewed journals, or reviewed journals, refereed journals we generally call, right? The details of the journal, the volume, the number, all that is available on the first page, and the month and the year of the publication. So I think generally the first page of the publication would be enough.
So please stop sharing your slide. Our
Uh,
next question is,
yeah.
our next question is how to name or code file. Is there any particular format or way we can name the file?
No, no, I don't think there is any particular way. I've made this point very clear that this set of 25 files and the set of 15 files that I proposed, it's my own view of looking at these files. Whereas the institutions which want to work very scrupulously, they can have 50 files also in the program. So they can have many more files. But the most optimized solution I have tried to provide. So 25 files in the program is not difficult task to maintain. But if we have, so like 90 files or 100 files, it will be difficult to trace these files. And my suggestion is, if we have maintained a set of, let's say, 25 files, there is no thumb rule, or there is no rule for nomenclature of these files. The name should be such that you should be able to guess what should be the content in that file. And when I was working as a head of the department in a particular institutions, and we were going through this accreditation process, what we did is we had such 25 set of files for the program level, and I had a chart prepared for every file, the name of the file and the contents, name of the file and the contents. And this chart was available on the table of each of my faculty members. So everyone knew, sitting at his or her own place, what is file number 17 containing, what is file number 13 is containing. So sitting at your own place, you should be able to understand what is the content of a particular file. If you want a particular information, you could access that particular file directly from the chart. So this is my suggestion.
So your voice is not coming. So are you hearing me? Your voice is not coming. Is there any network issue? I think some network issue is there on sir's side. He's with us, but his voice is not coming. Thank you so much, sir, on behalf of IILM family. Now, our second speaker of the day, Dr. Manoj Kumar Gupta is with us, and I would like to welcome him. Uh, Manoj, sir, please switch on your video.
Okay. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir. Uh, Satish sir slide is sharing, I think, and sir is offline, I think.
So,
Sir is in Zoom room. Oh, sir is waiting. Sir, just wait for 2 minutes only.
no issue.
Satish sir is there. So, welcome, sir,
Yeah,
again. Okay.
I think
Thank
the
you so
connection
much.
got lost.
Yeah, your connection got lost, I think. No issues, sir. Thank you so much on behalf of IILM family. It was really a wonderful session and really so much informative for all of us and all teaching fraternity that we all can use it for further accreditation process. Thank you so much, sir.
I share my PDF presentation with you on by email. You can share it with the participants.
Okay,
Okay.
fine, sir. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Welcome, Manoj, sir. Dr. Manoj Kumar Gupta is with us for the second session. For his topic is role of ICT tools on teaching learning methodology. Doctor, I would like to please to read a short profile of Dr. Manoj Kumar Gupta. He received his PhD degree from Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Roorkee in 2014. He has more than 19 years of teaching and research experience and published around 40 research papers in national and international journals and conferences of high repute currently. Currently he is working as associate professor and head of the School of Computer Science and Engineering in Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, Katra, Jammu and Kashmir. His research areas of interest include bioinformatics, algorithms, computational biology, and data mining. He has taken many research scholarships and MHRD, CSIR, and DST funding. He is the member of Universal Association of Computer and Electronics Engineering, UACEE, International Association of Engineer, IAENG, International Association of Computer Science and Information Technology, IACSIT. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Please.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, and thank you for giving the brief introduction. And I would like to first of all thank all of you for going ahead with this pandemic and this situation. In this situation, you are continuing and without hindrance, you are learning a lot of things and utilizing the time efficiently. So before I start, may I allow you to share the screen? Okay, is the screen visible to all of you?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, fine. So, okay, so let me start the role of ICT, that is Information and Communication Technology. And the content of this ICT is mainly I'm going to cover here is brief introduction, and we'll discuss about the characteristics and what is the exact scenario, the demography of India, and how the information and communication technologies has widened their scopes across the demographic dividends of the India. And we'll look at the application of ICT, its role in teaching and learning. And now, due to the current situation, we all know that e-learning is prevailing like anything. And lastly, we'll discuss the little advantages, disadvantages, you can say the limitations of ICT. So ICT, we can define, as all of you know, that ICT could be easily defined in many ways. And in one of the ways, we can say that ICT is a technology required for information processing. And in particular, we'll use the electronic computers, communication devices, and application software to convert, store, protect, process, transmit, and retrieve information from anywhere at any time. So the various other also ways we can define ICT is an umbrella which covers all the technologies for information and communication. It is also been defined by the various other ways, but the concept remains the same. To spread the knowledge, to interchange the knowledge, to process the information. So first of all, let's see about what is the information. So we have a lot of data around, and the data is continuously coming to us. It's in the form of web, and Google nearly estimated of 45 billion pages that has been currently indexed by the Google. And whenever you click any link or anything on the web pages, there is a lot of data which has been generated, which has been analyzed at the back end for the personalification or making the users better. And those data which has been generated, which is analyzed at the back end, is around 10 to 100 terabyte per day. Similarly, you could do the financial transaction or any transaction in shops, in market, anywhere. So those transaction data alone can generate around 5 to 50 terabyte per day. Satellite image feeds, again, it's a huge amount of images that has been fed by the satellite every day, and it's also around more than 1 terabyte. And sensor activities, biological data which is being generated through the NGS, that is next generation sequencing, in which they convert the DNA information into the string form like ACTG, and those information which has been converted from the DNA chemical structure, that is DNA nucleotides, into a string form. So the different kind of genes, different kind of information kept on gaining from those chemical structures and being stored into the computer in the form of strings. The first human genome that has been transformed to through this NGS system is around 2004, and it's 3 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs. And that is the amount of human genome sequencing is. TV, we watch every day, and we have a lot of data associated with the channels, and it's more than 2 terabyte. Similarly, digitized telephony also have 100 petabytes per day data. You see a lot of data which is around us, and we are bombarded with a lot of data. So do all this data is useful? According to the research, people say that 99% of the data is not useful to the people. Only 1% of the data is useful. Then the next question arises that how those 1% will be extracted useful information through all this data. So we need to devise a mechanism to process it. So process the data in a form which gives you a useful information. For example, let's take one example. We all are teachers, and we are taking a regular questions and evaluations mechanism, and we evaluate the student, and we have the evaluated the student out of 50 marks. We have the record of 90 students in the class, for example, and we have 20, 30 or 40 out of 50 numbers. One student have gained 40 number out of 50, second student have gained 30 out of 50, and like that. Someone asks you that how is your evaluation is good or bad or effective, you can say. So by giving just numerical data will not give you any information. If you process the data in a form of some categorization, like is the 60% of the student have gained more than 70% marks, 40% students have gained less than 30% marks, like that. then you could say that, okay, we'll have to focus on this part of the students which are having less marks through some means. So these are the ways by which some way we can process the data and we could extract the useful information out of it. We could relate the 4 I's, that is information, which need to be processed, which need to be extracted from the data after processing, and those information could be used for the interactiveness between the humans, between the human and computer, and so and so on. And these interaction between the humans or between the human and computers will lead to some identity. So we have the social identity, or that we can say that social identity is converted to the digital identity. What is the digital identity? Digital identity is like you have a Facebook account or your Twitter account. So all those are what? Or the digital identity. That digital identity is in terms of socialness. There also a government digital identity, that is the Aadhaar identity. So those in identity also been used to store or to get the information pertaining to that identity. And combining all those things will give you a informatics, and that is a science for processing all this. Communication. In communication, we could categorize our communication medium in terms of wireless, wireline, or other telecommunication services. And currently, we are the world's second largest telecommunication market, and with a subscription of more than 1 billion subscribers we have. So the kind of communication market we have established in the India is over more than 1 billion. And Indian mobile economy is growing rapidly because of that, and currently constitutes more than 98% of all telephone subscription, which contributes 6.5% to India's GDP. So the development in the communication lead to the contribution of Indian GDP, and this all ICT, that is technology for all this, will ultimately contribute to the GDP of India, and we will have to focus and maintain the system in which it keeps on growing. We can say about 4 important components of the communication are connectivity, that is, we should have a reliable way to share the information. We should keep on increasing the new tools to increase those capability. So you see that we have initially 2G spectrum, then we migrated to 3G, 4G, and now 5G. So we incorporated new tools by means of increasing the capability. Should able to give the qualitative content to be shared, and significantly reducing the cost by in consideration of all these components. We should keep on decreasing the cost so that the society will get benefit the most out of it. As been shared by the Steve Jobs very famous line, that is, the technology is nothing. What is important is that you have a faith in people, that they are basically good and smart, and if you give them tools, they will do wonderful things with them. So the technology should not consume people basically, but the people should consume the technology for their betterment. So, but some will have to make the balance out of it. If you see around nowadays, technology is more like consuming us, because we are bound to give the much more amount of time to the screens, And we, some way or other way, sometimes it's necessity or requirement. Based on that, we are basically continuously been in the technological domain. But at the end of the day, one should have to focus that the technology is for the humans, and the technology should not consume the human, but the human can use the technology for their betterment. And that is what the essence or the particular the meaning we can say the use of technology that Steve Jobs also has want to recommend. Technology, the main aspect of the technology, it's keep on changing, and over the centuries it's keep on changing. And from much older time, ever since as the first industrial revolution, and then the power of electricity comes into the existence, and that's the second termed as the second industrial revolution. And then we have the computer power, which have changed a lot of things around, and that termed as a third industrial revolution. And that is only possible with the help of continuous change in the technology. So change is the only constant we can say. So by that change, modification of the technology, we have done a lot of achievements in our ecosystem. And fourth industrial revolution is not a single thing which can be termed as, but the fourth industrial revolution revolves around many things like mobile devices, IoT platforms, authentication, fraud detection, 3D printing, or the smart sensors communication, big data analytics, multi-level customer interaction, customer profiting. So all these things make the fourth industrial revolution. But all those things revolved around one thing, and that is the artificial intelligence. So all these components, cloud computing, augmented reality, or the IoT platforms, these all things are basically moving around the artificial intelligence. So the fourth industrial revolution, you can say, is more about the artificial intelligence, which component of which are basically move around all these terms which just we have mentioned. Like IoT is nothing but the integration of various platforms to communicate between or among the entities. The entities may be the humans or without the humans, and more necessarily we want that the communication should be established without the human. The decisions. Cloud computing is also utilization of the infrastructure. Computers on demand would be available at the customers without maintaining all the necessary infrastructure required for it. Most probably in the next few years to come, the cloud computing business will grow like anything. In educational institutes also it will grow. As we have the computers in the lab, but do we utilizing our computers with efficiency? So probably if you measure the amount of utilization of the computers in the lab is quite less. Most of the time the computers are idle. More than, you can say, 70% of the time the computers are idle. Only 20 to 30% we are utilizing in a day in terms of time. So investing such a cost on to the machines to use the underutilization, is it effective, cost effective, or the efficient? That the way the people are thinking now, and they are maintaining data centers so that the computers available on demand, so that the customers need not to invest a lot of money in terms of infrastructure and the security and the overheads associated with it. Security is obviously one of the major overheads. That is the goal that most of the people are now looking at. Similarly, 3D printing is also one of the very promising area, and you will not surprise to see the computers building the computers, or you can say the robots building the robots, because the 3D printing can have the capability of reproducing or replicating the system itself. So the organs has also been printed by means of this technology of 3D printing. Augmented reality is also extended to give you a lot of simulations to make the people trained in a simulation environment without having a risk of getting some physical hazards in the serious risk management systems. So those are the things, the new technologies come into the picture, and all those things constitutes the fourth industrial revolution. So we look at some of the applications of the artificial intelligence, which nowadays most of you also are using or referring to. Like we have a AI personal assistants. So all of us have some kind of assistance in electronic terms. Siri, Home, or Alexa. Hi Alexa, what is the recipe of building the recipe for the Manchurian? Or you can ask any silly questions and it will answer you. AI lawyers, most of the US lawyers are now referring to this system, because this system, AI lawyers ROS, is having a more accuracy than the human. The lawyers referring to this system to have or to want to clear any doubts. IBM Watson is also supposed to be having a higher accuracy in terms of the information fed in, and it's kind of expert system, you can say, AI doctors, which has been by the IBM, and this is also contributing significantly. All of you know that Elon Musk is driving the company in a different domains, and one of the domain apart from the space also is the autonomous drivers. Google also have entered into this field, and they are now making the artificial intelligence autonomous drivers. And now they will not see it's unsafe, because as the technology and the IoT and the cloud computing all integrated all of those sensors networks and giving a platform to interact with each other and taking the decisions will make a ride safe in all terms. People want to make money through some secured way, refer to the AI investors, that's a numeri. The algorithm-based approach in which they reduce the loss factor. So they want that we need to invest in the stock, which is more promising based on the past records, based on the government fiscal policies, based on the initiatives taken by the companies and all that. So the various factors incorporated into it and have given this system called AI investors, and the people use for the analysis for investments. AI facial recognition and analysis is a system which has been given by the Microsoft, and which basically use the deep learning. And deep learning is also a part of artificial intelligence, or you can say artificial intelligence is a big domain. Machine learning is a part of it, and deep learning is part of machine learning. And Microsoft have given a facial recognition and analysis system, which is also having very higher accuracy. You can say the higher accuracy than the humans. And the deep learning is the current buzzwords. These are the buzzwords, and people might have a thought that these existed nowadays, but they already existed over the centuries. But there's a lot of development in the different areas in which now the deep learning is flourishing. So they are the winter season, they are the spring season. In winter season, you can say the not lot of work is going on. People have not seen very promising areas and have not gone through the stuff very dedicatedly. But in case of spring season, people are enthusiastic of using all those things. So those are now the artificial intelligence or the deep learning part of it is having the spring season. And it is started in 2006 around, when a basic handwriting recognition system has taken the recognition proposed in 2006, that this have given a greater accuracy as compared to the other existing machine learning systems like SVM or all. And 2006 to 2009, the period was of the deep learning, that people are exploring things. And from 2009, people start dedicatedly using those deep learning things. And in 2012, AlexaNet has came up, and there is a one famous contest which is organized, and that is ImagineNet. And that ImagineNet, basically there's a 1,000 class of pictures was there. That is 1,000 classes means some set of pictures belongs to one class, some set of pictures belongs to another class, and the number of classes are thousands. 1,000 means one of the class may be human, other class may be of cat family or the dog family, other class maybe belongs to some trees and all that. So these are the different classes of the pictures. We categorize those data set. And when AlexaNet was launched in 2012, in that, at that time, it's around an accuracy of 67%. Then there's a VGA-Net, and then the Google entered into the competition, and they also have given the more than 90% accuracy. In 2015, when the Microsoft entered with the ResNet, called the residual network, and they have dominated all, and they are giving with the accuracy of more than 96%, and which the people said it is better than the human, because normal human being tend to misclassified 4 pictures out of 100, at least more than 4 pictures out of 100. So that is how the people have thought that, okay, this deep learning is having a great advantage, and they are stand and recognizing all the recent development and transforming the existing system into this new one. So we characterizes this ICT, that is the communication technology, in terms of effectiveness, in terms of efficiency, in terms of innovations. So effectiveness could be measured, that how effective your ICT is. If it is more interactive, it is having less errors, we can able to customize it according to our requirement, and it is transparent, that is visible to all. We'll say that the ICT that we are using is effective. How we'll say that the ICT is efficient? If it is fast, it is cheap. If our ICT, what we are using, is taking less steps as compared to the previous ones. If it involves less number of people, that less human hours are being invested. It also saves a lot of paperwork. We'll say that it is more efficient. And we keep on introducing new innovations, new products, new techniques. So all those things will give you the growth. So we will have to find out that what are the growth areas in which we'll have to do lot of effort, so that it could be effective, efficient, and innovative. So what are the growth drivers we have? So majorly we'll say that the young population, which is changing lifestyle, is one of the potential area where we can grow. There's another area, that is the rural market. So we'll see that how the rural market will affect based on our demographic dividend. And we'll also see what is the long-term goal, what is the long-term value for our ICT systems. So we'll say that the mobile internet is predominantly used by youngsters, and with 46% of urban users and 57% of rural users being under the age of 25. So that means most of the young people, either in the rural or in the urban, are using this mobile, or you can say the internet. And this next wave of growth in mobile internet users is going to come from the rural areas, because in urban areas, the most of the people have all those around more than, you can say, irrespective of the age also, bar the age gap, across all the age, we have a lot of users in the urban areas, but still the rural India have a very less number of users. In terms, people's having a older age or the lesser age. And for all that, what we need to, in order to grow these rural market, or we want to capture all the changing lifestyles of the people, we want favorable policies. Favorable policies that has been taken from the initiative by the government. So the government should also have to facilitate the environment to grow or to capture the potential in these areas. So we'll look at that what are the stakeholders in Indian scenario of ICT and how it will affect or influence the system. So the long-term ICT's long-term value creation model is not only building money or increasing the economy, it also giving the output in terms of employee satisfaction. So we, as the input to all this ICT is the human people, their intellectualness. We have startups, platforms, social relationships, and the financial equity. And we want to convert those things to some satisfied level of the human employees. We want to convert the intellectualness in sustainability. We want the technology should be scalable by using ICT and affordable. We want that the social relationship should be satisfied, our needs of the people, and also not lastly but not the least is the financial profitable growth. So these are the long-term value creation model we'll have to build around, and those model will more into focus of the sustainability, the satisfaction of the human, and the growth as well. So we'll see which are the stakeholders which are basically responsible for taking the decisions and all those. So these are the major ICT in India stakeholders are. So Ministry of Communication. Under this Ministry of Communication, the various industry associations which comes like COAI, that is Cellular Operator Association of India, TEMA, that is Telephone Equipment Manufacturing Association of India, ISPI, that is Internet Service Provider Association of India, IAMAI, that is Internet and Mobile Association of India, NASCOM, etc. These are the industry associations which comes under the Ministry of Communications. We also have a regulatory and appellate bodies which standardize the things, which regulate the rules and regulations around the industries in majorly contexting the benefits of the peoples. We have a National Statistical Office which doing the surveys and which taking the impact of the technology onto the peoples, the various policies what they have made and what in what manner they have impacted. So all those statistical data has been taken by the National Statistical Offices, and MHRD, which is responsible for taking care of education in India. So all those are basically stakeholders in India to look around the environment of ICT is prevailing into into the demography of India. So let's see the demography of India. So the population of India is second largest in the world, and we are geographically, we are seventh largest in the world. GDP is also a very high GDP, you can say. And this data is mainly from the public domain, available in the public domain from the annual report of the MITI, that is Ministry of Electronics and Telecommunication of India. So that is why it's around 2018, and rest of the latest data is not available in the public domain. So there's some discrepancy you might see in this data, but the further analysis also been done on this data only. So that's why I kept it like that. For example, the population also is more than 130 billion, we can say, or the states also. Right now we have a 28 number of states, and the union territories are 6 because of that JNK, that special status of JNK has been removed and it has been converted into the UT. We have a lot of languages we are spoken across the India, and we have a variations of that spoken languages is around more than 1600, you can say. So look at this data, and here you can realize that potentiality of the penetration of ICT in the which the target will have to analyze. So if we talk about the rural India, in rural India, we have this 22% male are illiterate, though the amount of illiteracy among the female is quite huge. It's 41%, more than 41% are illiterate in female. So this is the one where we can use the ICT and we can make the people more literate by use of ICT by providing the various communication modes. For example, if we have a lack of teachers in the rural areas, we could provide the availability of good teachers by means of ICT. And that way, we can say that we can increase this illiteracy level also. And also we will see, this is another potential area, that if we want to seek the job in the organized sector, we need the qualification of at least 7 graduate or more. And the graduate level in rural area, we have only 7.4% of people which go to the graduate or more level. In female, it's again quite less, 3.9% in rural India, because people don't prefer their child, daughter, or will go outside of their town, and so that's why they hesitate to live. So these are the things. If we have a good ICT communication technology system in place, we can definitely convert the demography of the education here by increasing the literacy rate, by increasing the graduate level or higher level education also. The does not want to secure the job in organized sector, and they do a lot of things in and around. Like in India, it is a fact that only 4% or 5% are in the organized sector, and rest of most of the people are in the unorganized sector. But the we cannot ignore the power of literacy, which has been used in every, whether you are in organized or unorganized sector. And this could be possible by use of good and efficient use of ICT. In urban area also, the data is quite promising that the age, the person age of 15 years and above. This is the census data for the people having the age of 15 and above. You see that still the 19% of the more than 19% of the females are illiterate. And in the urban area, the male percentage literacy rate is also around 8.8%. So though the environment is propelling them to be educated, though still due to some or the many other reasons, government have taken various initiatives to penetrate the literacy-ness, but still we are behind the goal what we have set, and we, with the use of ICT, we can definitely increase this system. So majorly our IT sector, that is information technology, or you can say the Indian ICT, is divided into two terms, two parts, you can say. So one part is a very important part is Indian telecom scenario, and another part is around revenue generated IT sector companies are TCS, Infosys, HCL, Wipro. These are the and another important part is the Indian telecom scenario, that is in telecom sector. So you see that the overall ICT spending in India is estimated to rise to $144 billion by 2023, which is by 2018 it is around 101 billion. So the major people, based on the rural density, you can say we have a rural density of 57%, urban density of 172%, and the Indian subscriber is 431 million people, and broadband also 300 million people. And by increasing the investment, we could increase the utilization of this telecom scenario in India. And these are the major players in India, which is basically giving the services. Vodafone and Idea merged after the Jio launched its data services, and they still constitute 35%, more than 35%, and Bharti sharing the 29% of all the telecom companies in India. Reliance 23%, BSNL 10%, and Tata Teleservices, which is very less in compared to all, constitutes only 1.7%. And as of the March 2018 data, the internet population sits at 493 million and expected to reach 600 million by 2020. And the rise in the data is also increasing, and one Swedish telecom company has recorded that in India the data utilization will grow from 3.9 GB in 2007 to 18 GB by 2023. So realizing the fact that the usage of all the mobile internet data is increasing, we will have to provide necessity infrastructure in place to provide efficient use of So we'll look at that how this all will impact the society. So there are the various factors which influence the ICT in society. The faster communication speed impact the society, lower communication cost, it will greatly impact the society. As much as possible, if we are using a less paperwork and more electronic way of doing the things, the society will grow. If we have the borderless communication or the effective mode of sharing available to us, this all influences our society, and we should have making the policies in consideration of all these factors, because these all factors eventually affects our society. So the formation of policies, the various standards that has been made by the Indian government also, and the main standards that they made, keeping in mind these visions, that our regulations will be like, it should not being uninterrupted mode of communication. It should be reliable, that whatever we will send will be received at the other end. It should be faster enough. It should be having a lower cost. So these are the major factors which all the stakeholders have to keep in mind while devising the necessity policies they are devising for all the companies. Now we'll look at that how the ICT having the different applications across the different segments of the industry. So we have seen the penetration of influence of the ICT in education, and we'll explore this education in more detail in upcoming slides. ICT have played a tremendous role in the banking formulation, and you see by the ease of transferring money at any time using any FD or RT, make our trade quite efficient. And this helps in growing the revenue across the India. We also have a boom of e-commerce, and that not at all will possible without using the effect of ICT. Entertainment, we have seen a boom of entertainment in another form other than the multiplexes we have. And what is that? That is the web series, you can say, or the online platforms where the people can produce their own choices, and without any having regulatory bodies, they can give all the kind of stories, whatever they think, and people are watching and gaining the revenues out of it. So initially we have a very limited resources of entertainment, like whatever the TV broadcast we have, or we have the multiplexes on which you can see the movies. But now we have a vast range of entertainment platforms available across. Medicines, the ICT also have changed the way that we are using the consultations with the doctors. We will see online the availability of the doctors. Before visiting to the doctors, we can see that the profile of the doctor and the feedback of the previous patients on the expertise of the doctor. So all those information are available online, and we can go before exactly visiting the doctor. We can go through those stuff and then decide better that what is the best for all of us. And in remote areas also, the use of medicine will help the people to save themselves by taking the measures. Like in nowadays, you see that the situation, the pandemic that going around, has the ICT has a tremendous role in educating people that how to take care of, how to take the precautions, what are the necessary things they can use for the immunity increasing and all that. So that's ICT have penetrated to the human health by various means. So all these are areas in which the ICT have played the tremendous role. And we mainly now onwards will try to look at how the education penetration of this ICT in the education field. So the education, we in India want now be transiting from information-based economy to the knowledge-based economy. And now we also basically transforming from knowledge-based economy to the competitive society basically. So what is the knowledge-based economy? Knowledge-based economy sits around infrastructure and application content. So we have to give the proper infrastructure related with the communication by giving the fiber optic cabling system or the gigabit ATM or the satellite. These are the various good infrastructure for the communication availability, and with the good application content, that is smart schools, e-government, smart card, telemedicine. So these are the different applications which we, and using those infrastructure and application, the people feel bound with all the knowledge, and it feels that it is helping in building a good, great work culture. The knowledge of the people will increasing, the skill set of the people, the learning way, that the way they are learning, they are uniting also by means of interaction. So all the people feel that by having the proper infrastructure in place and proper applications place, they would have been knowledge about all those things. So the people are transforming from the information which is happening in the area in the period around 2005. The people are more bound to gain the information, lot of information, they want to collect it, and they want that as much information they have, they could able to equipped with the latest things. But storing all kind of different information will not solve the purpose. So we'll have to convert those information into the knowledge, and those knowledge will lead you to the competitive people, right? So we transforming, you can say we are transforming our education vision into from information society to knowledge society to the competitive society. So that is how, if we are transforming our education system, our economy will also keeps on increasing. So we have seen the transition in the first decade of this century, that ever since the inception of the triple W by Turnley in late 90s, then we have a bombarded with all different websites and the information content. So we have seen all those things, and now we are transforming that information society to the knowledge society. So we use those information to develop the knowledge in the area, and by those knowledge we are developing new products and innovations, and that lead to the competitive society. That means you should competitive knowledge economy. So that all eventually will help you in gaining the economy. So the delivery mode will need to change from brick to click. So you see that earlier system have a brick system, means we have institutions in place and we have a chalk and duster learning. But now we are more use of ICT. That means we are more use of click system. So more of the universities will have that process, and also MHRD, SWAYAM, NPTEL, and all these projects is basically encouraging the use of online learning mode. So for that, what we need essentially, that the teacher should believe in the effectiveness of technology. So as a human being, there's a natural phenomena that we have a hindrances or resistance for adopting a new things. So that first of all, as a teacher, we should have to believe in the effectiveness of the technology. The teacher should also believe that use of technology will not cause any disturbance. So sometimes the people have spreading the information or the rumors that if we using the much of the online learning things, or will use the high use of technology will disturb the learning rate of the students. It's not exactly the thing is. We'll have to take the control of the technology, and if you have a teachers have the proper control of the technology, they definitely will going to help the learning rate increasing among the students. So the blackboard is, earlier days we have only blackboard or whiteboard. teaching. Then we have using the prevalent use of OHP, that is overhead projectors. Nowadays we have a whiteboard of LCD, and blessings in disguise, this COVID-19 situation, that all of the things are very much shaky and people are not able to realize that what's going to be next. But thanks to the online learning things we have, we continue our teaching and reaching out to our students and providing them with all the kind of stuffs, support to learn them. Yes, it is up to the student also that how good they are going to learn it, all the stuffs and the efforts the teachers all putting it into. But as you can say, the reachability to the students and providing all the necessary stuff for the learning, you are able to provide them. So that is how the teaching and learning will effective if we have use ICT, greater use of ICT. And how to help, what are the different tools in education? We can create the HD video lecture for classroom teaching. We can also use the distance learning. We have a flipped learning. We have MOOC, that is massive online open courses. And we can share the screen by using webcam, and we can, that's online teaching, you can say. And Zoom is very nicely been used effectively by across the people in India for this system. And flipped learning is one of the very important thing which is still not been used effectively, but that could be, I would say, it would be having a greater way of learning by the students. The flipped classroom is like you give all the materials and you teach them also remotely, and they will then invited to the class, and the classroom is only for the discussion purposes. So whatever the learning is being done, you will assemble in a class to discuss those learnings. So you can ask the questions, you can raise why and how, and the people could able to answer with their learnings of those things which has been shared earlier. So that's the concept of flipped classroom. And flipped learning is also one of the very important way to accelerate the learning graph of the students. So basically, we could say that we have a asynchronous learning and the synchronous learning. And in asynchronous, it's a self-paced. We all know that, for example, Coursera and EDX and all the books, e-books and the text we have available, or you can store something in the computer, that's a asynchronous. In self-paced manner, in whatever time you want, you can go through the stuff and learn it. In synchronous, like we are teaching online, so that's online synchronous learning. So the teachers taking the classes, so students also has to sit in the same time and go through those all the stuff that has been given by the teachers and learn at that particular point of time. So the e-learning blended mode is good, that it's not like that chalk and duster is obsolete, and we'll never say that classroom teaching is will replace the online teaching. It's not supposed to be like that, except in the current scenario in which we does not have any option for doing the same. But in future also we will have to make the blended mode. That means we should have an interactive digital content, and the chalk, not at the extent it is ruling in the previous days, but yes, it is a part of the e-learning mode. So the learning model is going to change from industrial age to digital age learning model. And we would also have to see that how do people learn in this digital environment. So that is still, you can say these are some questions which are still been unanswered, and we want to take out the learning outcomes by measuring the mode of only digital environment, because so far the accreditation process and all those processes are basically measuring the learning outcomes for the current system, in which we more of use of all those modes of learning, that is blended modes, less amount of e-learning, you can say, there is a e-learning amount, but it's not the extent to which we want. And it's more about the normal chalk and dusting environment. So that's a outcomes which we have measured in the form of all the accreditations and all. But we also still want to know that how much extent and what kind of effectiveness of if we thoroughly convert our system into the e-learning system. So are the learn, because we'll have to prepare the learners also ready. You can say that you see that learners are also have to make a change in shift of their mind that the learning is this way, because you see the classroom teaching which is up to the class 12th is prevalent with that way only, and suddenly if you transform all those classroom learning to the e-learning, we'll have to analyze that how much effective it is. So there's a difference between traditional classroom and e-learning. So just pointed out some of the lines that in classroom we have the physical limited size, and in e-learning we does not have any limitations to the size. So any good teacher in Bangalore can take the online sessions to the thousands of people sitting different corners of the country. And the classroom teaching is synchronous, but e-learning could be done anytime. That means if the example, there's a Khan Academy, An Academy, there's a various learning platforms are available nowadays, which stores the lecture on, they take the online sessions also, and those online sessions, recorded sessions also been mailed to the student, and they can also learn at their own pace and anytime, anywhere. So the content delivery is also different. In traditional classroom, we use the PowerPoint transparency. We use digital library, we use simulation models, we use multimedia and all that. And we could also see the personalization, that is only one learning path in traditional classroom. But in case of e-learning, learning path and pace determined by the learner. So the learner can decide that how, which stuff we'll have to give more time. So based on his capability, something, some part of the course material he might understand quickly, some part it may take much of time. So depending on their capability, they can decide the path of the learning also. That has been the ease in the case of e-learning. So various tools also available nowadays, which has been available multimedia. So the person can use that how the eyes inside is look like. They can also show that how the earth crust, the different layers of the earth crust have been shown, how the lungs and heart structures are lying inside it. So that visuals will helps the students to visualize, and always the picture is more than 1,000 words worth. So that is why we say that the use of good multimedia tools will help the students to learn faster. Or you can say the mind maps also for the so this is the one example of the mind map that we have in Central. We have a computer, and the component are the hardware and the firmware and the software, and for the software we have these components. So there's a kind of map you can use to show to make the learning faster. Okay, so I think I am standing between your lunch and the session, so I will just quickly try to wrap up the things. And the advantages of ICT and limitation of ICT is briefly described here. So the advantages, we all understand that resource sharing, wide variety of services, flexibility, reliability, faster speed, cheap cost, creation of jobs, and bridging the cultural gap. These all are the advantages we're most familiar with. But it's not like that all are the various advantages which we are much familiar of, but there's some limitations out of it also. And the limitations also in some manner, but in other manner you can say that limitations could be converted easily into the advantages. But for this to convert those limitations to advantages will need a lot of effort, which is, we will say that it is lacking in current scenario. So that is why we call them as the limitations only. So the lack of business human contact, it's again, you can say it's a one of the limitation, but in other way, you can say that we can reduce a lot of grievances among the humans in the organizations by using the less human interactions. So that is why I said the limitations is one sense, but in other sense, it could not be the limitations. But yes, by and large, if you understand, the less interactive society will lead to another kind of different uh, emotionless kind of things which may grow, and we have a less human interaction will lead to a different kind of world. Lack of different direct teamwork will obviously lead from the less human contact, requires great self-discipline. We expect that whatever we have delivered to our student should be read and understand properly by the student, but it's not exactly like that happening. So it only happen if the student a great self-discipline, which will not accept for all kind of students or all kind of people. That privacy, we have a lot of information which is available now online, and that lead to be the privacy preservation, and we'll have to take a proper steps to take the privacy preservation. Unemployment also keep on growing because you see the amount of literacy we have in our society or in our demographic area of this India. We have a less literacy, and because of that, the most will go to the organized sector will have to be a more literate, and at least the computer literacy is essential in order to having all this. Cyberbullying is another limitation. The government also have developing a lot of measures to do the cyber laws in place, but still we are far behind what is expected. Still, the people are ever using various ways of abuse in the various ways, and we'll have to restrict them by having a proper policing and infrastructure in place. So again, it's a promising area. We'll have to make a more aware about all those laws to the people, and they can then protect themselves through those laws. Greater reliance on technology. Obviously, if you are heavily on technology, the bottleneck is also there that you should have a reliable technology that any point of time, if it malfunction, all the systems will will degrade drastically, right? So these are the some issues and challenges. So the obviously we have a huge population and geographical area, so we'll have to make reachability to all corners of India and all parts of India, all kinds of people in India. So that's a challenge. We have a different geographical area in terms of mountains, plains, deserts, language, culture. So all those different diversity will are the issues basically we'll have to deal with when we are going. But ICT will give you a great advantage in going through all these issues and challenges. Lastly, I will just want to conclude it with this small video. And what I want to convey through with this video, it's that uh, we as teachers, we are teaching our students, and our mind also learns in different ways. Like artificial intelligence, various definitions has been given for the artificial intelligence, and people who are saying that they try to mimic the intelligent behavior of the human into some computer, into some form, into the computer. So for mimicking that intelligent behavior of the human into the computer, we first of all will have to understand that how our minds works, or how our mind learns the things. So there's a one way, the biologically way that people have understood and have replicated into the computer is the neuron functioning. That how the neuron functions, it takes a various input, and if it is greater than some threshold, it will fire. So that is the concept has been used in the ANN, that is artificial neural network, and we are now deep neural network. We are using thousands of the neurons also, and by those we are making the system learns fastly, and that learning capability we are trying to incorporate. But still, there are the various different ways by which our minds learns is not been figured out. So, for example, we most of the things we learn through visuals, right? So most of the things we learn through visuals. We does not communicate all those stuff by giving some writing or scripting things. For example, we have seen so many of faces so far. You have seen billions of faces, you can say, in the period of your lifetime. So I am 40 years old. You can say I have seen more than 1 million faces in my lifetime. So all those faces, by looking at them, I have learned that the face, how the face structure is look like. Nobody has told me that the face would have a nose, the face have two eyes, or face have mouth, or have teeth, and like that. But we have learned to see so many faces, and our mind has been learned that how our faces will look alike. So our face is when we look at the face, the nose is coming outside, and it's convex structure, and when eyes, it's going inside. So that's how our face is. So this is a mask, and it's a hollow mask of the great comedian. All of you must recognize it is Charlie Chaplin. When this mask turn around, you will see the hollow. The back of this mask is a hollow face, right? But you try hard to see that hollowness, but you will not able to see that hollowness. Why? Because our mind has been trained by seeing thousands of faces over the period of time, that our mind does not allow to see what the really lies there, right? So you just try hard, and what I will play this video in a while, and you will try hard to look that hollowness when it that when this mask turn around, but you will not able to see it. Why I'm showing this video? I am making a point here that if, as a teacher, we want that our students should learn, so sometimes we give them these pointers. Like in our situation, in COVID-19 situation, we have given a lot of pointers to the students also, that you can go through this video and stuff, and you learn all the things. But some way the student also been connected to the teacher, and have learned the receives the inputs by way the individual teachers have delivered the lectures, and they more understand through your way of delivering the content. So it might have a greater possibility that despite of having the various videos and good content lecture, you could deliver in a way that the student could understand you more, because they also have some perseverance of the things but the mind learns around when it sits in the class, right? So that is why I would recommend that the teacher, we does not know how in upcoming situations the learning of the students going on, but we should continue to interact with our students and make them the understandable of the content as much as possible through the way we want to deliver. So that is why, that is the only point I am trying to make it here, that we should continue to interact to the student in this situation also, and we continue to provide our way of learning to the students, so that they have option. If they are not able to understand from other, they can able to understand from your way of delivering, and that is how you also make yourself relevant, or make your existence relevant in the field also. So just play this video, and don't try to listen or focus on the audio of this thing. The main concept is only that you try to see the hollowness in this mask turnaround. Okay, just a moment.
extraordinary in which the Century Information President is cancelled by immense knowledge derived from the past, because you've seen so many faces with their noses sticking out. So it's totally impossible to see that as correctly.
Thank you. And that's how I supposed to end my session. And now welcome to the queries, if any.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session with full of statistical data and so much graphs that become very interesting for all of us in this lockdown situation. So we get some questions. These are very relevant to this lockdown situation. We are not going to colleges, and people are asking some. One question is, sir, can you highlight about the online certificates and its weightage? Is it necessary to have a signature in that certificate, or e-certificate with no signature are acceptable? With no signatures, the certificates are acceptable.
You see, there the more way you can define this. I understand your question that whether we want to put the signature and it has a significance weightage on it or not. So the most appropriate way, if you are giving the certificate, if you are maintaining one database and you just generate a QR code that replace all the things, it's not necessarily to the physical signatures over there. That QR code, you can have any QR reader from any. Nowadays you see that every mobile or every have the application of QR reader, and if you person the read, you would have to only all the certificates whatever you are issuing should be stored at there, and that database will be authenticated by some means. By some means, you can say you have one organization, you can make one centralized database for issuing of any with the unique number you can assign to them, with the unique number identification number you can assign to them. And from like in, and you can take the example it from the NPTEL to see that whatever the NPTEL courses you have done, or any person can have done, does not have a physical signatures onto it. They just have only QR codes. When you scan that QR code, they will release it from that central repository. So it will, it's the similar, it's not difficult also. You can easily maintain one database, you can easily generate one QR code, you can attach every certificate. And that is having a very, very fair weightage, more than that of having any physical signatures, scanned signatures you can put. Because you just like you are doing a various this workshops and all that, and you have a hesitation to put the signature in scanned format or not. So that is a one way you can address the things, and various online portals like NPTEL and all others are maintaining in this way. So I hope I have addressed the query. If it is not, please let me know.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, can you please unshare your slide? Unshare your screen.
Okay. Okay. So you can do it from there also, because I stopped. Okay, pause sharing. Is it fine now?
Yes, sir. Sir, the second question is, where is the ICT future in current scenario in low internet connectivity region? This is very much relevant to this situation.
Yes, that's correct. We that's a definitely a bottleneck you can say we have, and a lot of people are facing this bottleneck. And unless you have a proper infrastructure in place, this is heavily dependent on the technology. So that is what I have shared in one of the issues and challenges also, that the heavily dependent on the technology. That means if we heavily dependent on the e-learning and online mode of learning, we should have a proper infrastructure in place. And if we are lacking with any kind of infrastructure in place, it is definitely is not as productive as it could be. So we should have to take care of that. Like in JNK region, just I am sharing the real situation. And apart from the India, JNK is a little bit different from the rest of the states in India. And the internet connection since August last year, when the special status has been revoked, the internet connectivity has been dysfunctional for 3 months straight away. And thereafter, in March only, later on, a very small amount of infrastructure in terms of internet connectivity, they have provided 2G only. So now people have only access to 2G connections only, internet connection. And in Kashmir, if you talk about, there's a now and then there's some incidences taking place, and due to some or important reasons, the internet facility has been dysfunctional for 1 day or 2 days in a while. So for that reasons, we are not able to take the online classes as our university is based in JNK region. So we have, because of that limitations, we are not able to take the online classes, because most of the students are belongs to this area. Yes, most of the other students also came from the different parts of the other states of India, but in the major chunk we have other courses apart from the computer science. We have the other courses. The major chunk has been filled from the Kashmir and JNK region only. So what we have then find out that we should record our lectures and then send it to the student. So there are various ways we can record our lectures and then upload it into the classroom. The 2G connection can take much time, and they can download it and then learn it. So we mostly followed the asynchronous mode of learning, you can say, rather than the synchronous mode of learning. So in synchronous mode, you have live interaction. I have taken the live classes also, but some students say that they are not getting a proper voices. So people other than the JNK states are getting the proper voices, but here because of the limitation of the 2G connection, they are not. They are facing this kind of problem. So that's an asynchronous mode of way you can deliver if you have a limitation of internet connection. Hello? Hello? नहीं कनेक्ट है मेरा